1. I am a 26-year-old female. I moved to Idaho from the South a few years ago. I was walking into the grocery store, the one known for rollbacks and similar to Walmart, when a woman got out of her car, parked in one of those spots where you order online, and an associate brings your order to your vehicle, got in front of my face, snapping her fingers at me.
Hey, go get my order. I've been waiting forever for it.
Ma'am, I don't work here. I'm going inside to do my own shopping.
Yes, you do. Don't lie. You were wearing a blue shirt like the rest of the workers. Now go get my groceries. Here's the list.
She had a list in her hand, trying to hand it to me. Do you mean my Fallout 76 shirt that has Fallout 76 written all over it? Ma'am, that's a video game. I'm not going to do grocery shopping for you. I don't work here. Please leave me alone.
Yes, you do. Now go get my groceries.
She hands me the list and smirks. Okay. As you wish. I walked inside and found the manager and said, "Excuse me, there is a woman outside demanding her order, and mistaking me for a worker. She handed me this list. Can you go straighten it out?" That's weird. I'll go see what she wants. We walked out there, and I had her list, trying to hand it back to her. Ma'am, this young lady said you handed her a list to go get your order. What is your order number, and have you checked in saying you're here for pickup?
Here for pickup? I didn't order online. I had a list, and she is supposed to go get my groceries and bring them to me. She should know that. Also, I want her fired for disrespecting me.
That's not how that works, and she doesn't work here. He's correct. You have to order online and pick it up at the designated time. Here's your list back, ma'am.
She does work here. She parked in the front there with the veteran plates. That means she worked here for a while.
That's not right. She has those plates because she's a veteran. You need to either go inside and do your own shopping, or order online for pickup.
No. She's a long-time employee and even has the plates. Do your job and go get my groceries, you bastard.
Ma'am, I've been nothing but respectful, and for the last time, I don't work here. And those are my Marine Corps veteran plates because I am a Marine veteran, you clown. The DMV doesn't have grocery store veteran plates. Take your list and leave me alone.
Don't lie, you're a woman and women can't serve in the military. I guess people here aren't respectful like they are in Cali. There, the customer is always right. Give me my list.
She snatched the list and the manager was getting angry. All right, I've seen enough. Yes, women can be veterans because they can serve since the early 20th century. I know I served beside many badass women. Now please leave or I will have you trespassed.
My groceries. This is unfair. If this was Cali, you'd be fired.
Well, welcome to Idaho. Now leave. She got in her car, huffing like my cat when she doesn't get second breakfast. We start walking back inside when she leaves. I'm sorry about that. I don't get paid enough to deal with this. It's okay. Thanks for handling that. I went and got my groceries, and the manager met me at the counter and gave me a bag of Skittles he purchased and said, "Thanks, Marine." 2. I own a corporation in financial services and insurance that requires me to meet primarily with business owners on a regular basis. I am providing products that they are required to have. And these are big dollar financial service and insurance products. About 90% of my business is in my office, but about 10% of my clients I will visit in their shops or homes, especially the really top-level clients. Last Wednesday, I stopped by one of my clients' place of business. We'll call him Eddie. Eddie owns a fancy donut shop that is very popular and has a line around the building every single day. During COVID, his line was literally halfway around the block due to distancing. I came near the end of his rush, and I set up some papers on my laptop to the right of his register while he finished the short line that was left. He checked people out on the other side, and I was not near the donuts or the customers. And I thought nothing of it. This becomes important in the story, so I should tell you that I am a 450-pound guy. I'm big. Really big. And I'm proud of it. The name-calling and stares don't bother me. As I waited and continued to pull up the info I need for my client, Eddie went in the back to grab some trays of donuts and told the next customers in line, Karen and Ken, that he'd be right back. Apparently Ken and Karen didn't want to wait, as I shortly heard the ever-so-famous "ahem" a couple of times before finally looking up at them to see who wasn't responding to them. I didn't think they were trying to get my attention, but they were. I didn't even get a word out, and Karen blurts out,
"How about you get up off your ass and help out? We just need a half-dozen glazed, and the other guy disappeared."
"Ma'am, I'm sorry, but he just went back to grab some new trays of donuts. He'll be back in just a few minutes." Since I don't work here, I wouldn't have the first clue on how to help you, sorry. Karen literally chuckles out loud, rolls her eyes, shakes her head, and looks at Ken in a "he's full of shit and just being lazy" look. Ken immediately turns his head to me and says, "Look, buddy, we just need 6 donuts. It'll take you 30 seconds, and put them in a box and ring us up, and you can go back to lounging on your stool." I respond in kind, "Well, buddy, I don't work here and have no idea how to help you. Plus, I don't work here and all." Karen, now standing behind Ken on her tippy toes like she wants Ken to go all MMA on my ass, looks up and says,
"Who's your boss? Who's that guy who went to get more donuts, or do you have another manager?"
Again, I tried. "Ma'am, I own my own company. I'm here on personal business with the owner, Eddie. He is the same gentleman that went in the back. Yes, but he's not my boss. I really don't work here." Just then, Eddie comes back out, sizing new trays in, and asks Karen and Ken if he can help them. Karen, leaning hands and wrists first on the counter, says to Eddie,
"Yeah, you can stop hiring lazy fat-ass people who don't want to help your customers. What do? Payment crawlers?"
This made Eddie very confused, and I spoke up and said to him, "This woman thinks I work here because I'm behind the counter. I tried to tell her I didn't, but supposedly I'm too fat and lazy not to work here, or something. Anyway, they want half dozen of something." Eddie turns to Karen and Ken, shocked at how they were being so rude. They started to speak, but thankfully Barbie won, and Barbie too came to my defense. They were in line behind Karen and Ken, and had heard the whole ordeal. They started speaking up, explaining that these people were awful, rude, and just plain mean. After hearing that, Eddie simply kicked them out and told them to not come back. Ken wasn't quite done, though. As he left, he turns and says, "Thanks so much for your help, you fat fuck. I hope you have a heart attack before you turn 50. I'm 53, by the way. Then they left without incident. I know it doesn't have a real exciting climax, but I had to share because I really didn't think people like this existed. Why don't they believe someone who says that they don't work there? It's so strange. And of course, now that it's over, all the great comebacks are in my head that I missed. But I'll be ready next time if it happens again. 3. This happened in the late 90s at the Big Smiley Face store, so I don't remember the exact dialogue, but let me back up a bit. At the time, I was very active in the local theater. We did a variety of plays from dramas to musicals. We were working on this play about mental illness, and my part was one of the patients in the ward. It wasn't the main character, but I think I had the most interesting part, but I digress. In the play, I got to act as crazy as I wanted because my character has schizophrenia and multiple personalities. Know that I am not insulting people with mental illness. It was what my director told me to do. One of the personalities was a bratty little boy. I'm a woman, so this was a bit of a challenge for me. The little boy had several tantrums in the second act, including rolling around on the floor, jumping up and down, and repeatedly screaming several phrases like, "I'm a fish, you said I could be a fish," and my favorite, "Pickle boogers, pickle boogers." Yes, it was a dark comedy, in case you're wondering, but it really did have a good message in the end. I was on my way home from rehearsal and decided to stop by Smiley Face store and get something for dinner. It wasn't a dress rehearsal, so I was wearing jeans and a light blue t-shirt, but no vest, no badge, nothing that would make me look like an employee. Browsing through the frozen pizzas, I noticed that there were some items out of place. Being the neat freak I am, I picked them up and took them over to where they were supposed to be, then continued browsing. A woman with scraggly hair walked up to me. She looked to be around 30, and a bit on the heavier side. Okay, a lot on the heavier side. Honestly, she looked rather disheveled and angry.
"Do you have X brand of ice cream?"
I looked back and asked, "Me? Not usually. I prefer Y brand myself, especially the triple chocolate flavor. You should try it. It's so yummy." "Okay, bye." Then I turned to walk away. I heard a huff behind me and then, "Excuse me, that was not my question."
You need to show me where you keep X brand of ice cream now, or I'll tell the manager how rude you're being.
This confused me because I hadn't realized that she thought I worked there, but I was starting to catch on. I turned around and looked at her rather quizzically and said, "Why would I keep it anywhere if I don't buy it to begin with?"
What kind of worker are you anyway? Are you all this rude?
Oh, gotcha. I don't work here, but I'm sure that someone in customer service can help you locate it, if you ask nicely. She's glaring at me and obviously not listening.
Look, lady, all I want is my damn ice cream. I'm pregnant.
Looking at her belly, I thought, that's not a baby, that's probably about 12 cheeseburgers, give or take. But I'm not exactly in any place to judge. I love a good cheeseburger. Ma'am, I assure you, I do not work here, so I don't know what kind of ice cream they carry.
Why are you being so mean? I just want some ice cream.
Ma'am, I told you I don't work here. By this time, a crowd has started gathering around, and me, being the actor I am, decided to put on a performance. Winking and smiling at the crowd, I started jumping up and down and slapping my face.
I'm a fish! You said I could be a fish!
I started shaking my head back and forth with my tongue sticking out.
Pickle boogers! Pickle boogers!
With a look of horror on her face, she turned and ran off. I started chuckling and then turned to the crowd. I took a very dramatic bow and said, "Be sure to stop by the local theater in mid-June for the rest of the performance. Free admission on opening night." And then added, "I sure hope she finds her ice cream." The crowd started laughing and clapping for me as I turned and laughed towards the entrance of the store. I figured after that fiasco, I deserved a good cheeseburger. And yes, believe it or not, sometimes at the end of stories, everybody really does clap. 4. I've worked at my grocery store for almost 2 years at this point, and found nothing that felt crazy enough or important enough to share. Until tonight. Today was a mostly average day at work. Wake up tired and have a slow first couple of hours on till, then get energized after a nice caffeinated beverage on my first break. The rest of my shift goes very smoothly with lots of compliments from my customers. Many of them were very happy to see me back on till, as for the past few weeks, I needed to do other jobs to let my hand recover. All in a pretty typical and enjoyable day, until the last hour or so of my shift. After my last break, we really started slowing down, and with so many cashiers on till, most of our time was spent finding little tasks to occupy our time. I ended up asking my manager if there was anything else I could help with, and she had me put our reduced to clear items in separate boxes to donate to the food bank. I ended up getting that done with half an hour after my shift, so I was asked to clean my till and got that done when I was called to help a customer in the bakery. Normally, when cashiers are called to help in the bakery, it is to write on cakes, get items out of the display case, or take orders for cakes. But today, when I got there, the customer had a different request. He asked for some of the bread that was left out, unpackaged, in the temporary storage trays. I don't work in the bakery normally, so this might be wrong. Most of our employees would likely say that they don't know their way around the bakery and thus can't help, but not I. I told the man I don't know why it was left there, but I can see if I can get them for him if he really wants it. He said he did, so I was off. I quickly went searching for the bread packaging and found a box with the correct label, and so I told him I'd quickly wash my hands and grab him one. By the time I got back with the loaf, 2 other customers, a young-looking boy and a slightly older-looking woman, siblings maybe, were lined up behind him and asked me for 2. I asked him for a moment and sealed the bread for the first customer and went to find the price. I checked all the displays that normally would have the bread on them, and I couldn't quite find the price. I was about to give my manager a quick call to ask her if she knew, when the boy asked me if I could get them their bread first. I was a little caught off guard by this, given I needed to find the price to be able to sell the bread, and I told them this. In response, the woman said they can do it in the front. I know they can't, so I said that the only way to do this is if they find the price here, so I might as well find it first. She tells me she worked there a few years ago, and that she definitely could, and says some BS price at $1.19. I know that definitely isn't the price, so I quickly say it's closer to $1.69. In hindsight, I think it was $1.89, but it's not too big of a deal. So I tell the man and wish him well, and he is off. Now I tell the other customers that I don't know why the bread has been left out. They ask if it's stale. This is a bread that has a hard outer layer, and when I was holding the customer's bread, it felt about normal, so I told them that. They say that's fine and that they want it, so I get them their bread. I'm about to seal it in the bags when they tell me they don't need me to do that. Once again, I'm surprised, but sure, if they're happy with their bread unsealed, then I will happily leave it to them, and they are off. A couple of other customers are asking for a cake order. Unfortunately, as cashiers, we've been asked to not take them unless we've been specifically trained in the bakery. So I tell them that, and I will find someone else to take it for them so they can do their order. I quickly ran to the front and asked the person taking over the service desk, and self-check, if she's been trained, and she says she has. And she hands over the self-check key to me. Lo and behold, the two customers from earlier arrive at the self-checkout with their bread and a few other groceries. They need me to give them an override because there was too much weight on the scale. So I do my normal thing and ask them what the last item scanned was. It happened to be correct. I double-check their scanned item, and all of them were on the scale. Then once again I'm caught off guard when the woman asks me if I'm new here, as if taking these steps are somehow a sign of inexperience. I reply by telling her I've been here almost 2 years, and do the override, and tell them they're all good. I then await them calling me over again to help them with the bread, as there is no way to enter it on the self-check system without employee assistance. I quickly help some other customers with overrides, and laugh with them about how finicky our self-check is. Then I notice the initial 2 customers are paying, and I am instantly confused and intrigued by how they managed to finish ringing through their items without my assistance. As the customers walk away from the checkout, I ask them how they did their bread, and they show me the receipt and point at an entry labeled "Sandwich Rolls 2 for $1.38. The woman then tells me that the bread was $1.39 per loaf. At this point, I'm assuming they were very confused and informed them that they entered sandwich rolls and not the bread they had. She tells me that the image looked exactly like the bread, and so I go over to the self-checkout and ask her to show me what she did. I notice they also left their cake in the basket, which is kinda silly, but I figure I'll deal with it later. So I start opening the item menu to have her show me what she did, when the boy is pressing on the bread and all of a sudden decides it's stale. He says it's rock hard, and I apologize because I don't work in the bakery. I don't know how exactly the bread is supposed to feel. She then says, "Is this what you call customer service?" Immediately I feel adrenaline coursing through me as I take great pride in my customer service and work as hard as I can to make sure all my customers have the best experience possible. So I ask, because I'm genuinely confused, what did I do wrong? The woman then exclaims, "Unbelievable!" The boy asks her to leave it. I tell her I'm confused and I don't understand what happened. She then tells me she doesn't want to speak to me, she wants to return the bread and buy sourdough instead. I tell her I can help her with that. And she gets more frustrated and tells me she will go to the service desk because she doesn't want to speak to me. I tell her at this time I'm at the service desk. And she says, "Well, I want to speak to anyone other than you." I tell her we don't have anyone else available at the moment as my manager was on break, and everyone else who could be at the service desk was busy. She tells me she'll have one of the cashiers do it. While the cashiers are on till, they aren't supposed to do returns. It is only supposed to be managers or the person working at the desk. I tell her this, and she even more angrily tells me she doesn't care who does it as long as it isn't me. So I take a moment, pause, and ask where things went wrong, and if there's anything I can do to improve her experience with me. She again tells me she doesn't want to speak to me. I ask again and tell her I'm the only one who can help her, and I'd like to do that if she can just tell me what went wrong, and how I can serve her better. She absolutely doesn't care and is practically hiding behind her arms at this point, trying to ignore me. Then our service clerk for the day comes back and says he can do the return. I tell him that while he is normally a cashier, while he is service desk, he isn't supposed to do that. He has only been here for a couple months, but he insists, and I am now forced to allow him to do it, as if I continue to protest, that would actually be bad customer service, and I cannot allow myself to do that, especially when I'm already being accused of poor customer service. I let him process the refund and ask him what issue she had with me, and he says she thought I was accusing her of stealing, which I very much wasn't, and I wouldn't have thought all that normally, until she said that was her issue. He also told me that he recharged the item and it ended up being about $2.50 for the bread. And no, they didn't actually change it for sourdough like they said they would. I then glance over at the clock and see that I'm a minute past the end of my shift and quickly punch out. Then I double-check the till and print the last receipt. And it is not the return receipt, it is something entirely different. Which means they actually left without paying and they had stolen 2 loaves of bread. I then fill my manager in on the details of what happened, and she confirms they were definitely stealing, as getting increasingly irate and refusing to explain themselves is a very telltale sign of attempted theft. The idea is they will scare you off so you might end up letting them go. She was also very shocked to hear they had insulted my customer service, as I am one of the best at it in the store. And yes, I know this whole story is basically about $2 worth of bread being stolen. But hey, everybody loves Les Miserables, so... Also on principle, I can't let people leave without paying, as that would be theft even if unintentional. And then I very much couldn't let the situation simply stay after they attack my customer service. Once that happens, I go into my serious mode, where I take the interaction ridiculously seriously, as I need to show them that their initial impression was wrong, and that I am, in fact, able to provide top-quality customer service, which is why I couldn't simply let them go. 5. I work at a retail liquor store. Here's a brief backstory. We've had an increase of people coming into the store to exclusively use the bathroom in order to smoke meth and use other illicit substances. To help prevent this common occurrence, there is now about 15 shopping carts blocking the bathrooms, in addition to the out-of-order signage. There also has been a significant uptick in theft, which we can basically do nothing about due to the no-chase policy. I'm allowed to call the non-emergency police line, but the cops rarely catch the perps or show up on time, which is expected. Fast forward to about an hour ago, less than reputable person comes into the store, gets a drink from the cold box, and proceeded to beeline towards the bathrooms. I'm in pursuit because I've seen this scenario play out numerous times. I proceed to tell the person that the bathrooms are out of order. The individual then drops some garbage on the sales floor and proceeds to walk out of the store while holding the beverage that was taken from the cold box seconds beforehand. I yell at the person that she needs to pay for the item and that the drinks aren't free. My cashier then yells at her, repeating what I had just said. The perp clearly hears both of us, but decided the cold shoulder treatment works best, and proceeded to walk right out of the store, item firmly in hand. I called the non-emergency line to the local police to report the theft. Shockingly, the cops responded within about 2 to 3 minutes to our location. I gave the responding officer a detailed description of the person of interest, and the series of events that took place leading to the blatant theft. The officer then received a radio call and had to immediately leave. Not 5 minutes later, the same officer returned to our store to ask if I was familiar with positive ID procedures, which I am familiar with, being prior military. I was asked to get into the squad car in order to ID the suspect, which was apprehended not 3 blocks away from the store's location. I gleefully obliged to go for the ride, because I'm frankly sick of dealing with this situation on a near-daily occurrence. I was taken to an empty lot where the suspect was detained by a different officer. While sitting in the back of the squad car, I confirmed that, indeed, the detainee was the person that had just robbed the store. At this time, the officer left the vehicle to assist the arresting officer with the perp. I called my boss to inform her of the situation. Not a single attaboy was given, quite the opposite. Now I'm getting a written reprimand for leaving the store, which was closed and locked, because there was only 1 employee in the building, which is against company policy. Beautiful how things work out in the end. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Adventures in Fast Food and Retail, number 127. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. If you liked the video, then please do boop the like button and leave a comment, and I would greatly appreciate it if you could share this video around to your friends, family, and that one girl, Louise, you went to college with. You didn't really know her that well, but you shared the same sorority, so you kind of had to put up with her. She was drunk all the time, never really got her life together. Maybe a Hellfreezer video would help. Okay, this goes up on the 22nd. No shout out today, shout out tomorrow, I believe. Tomorrow, Sunday, then next Wednesday. Those are the rest for this month. Let's see. Right. Right, I'm turning into Melty Freezer here, so I'm going to go do some editing, turn the fan on, and resist the urge to go look at more Amazon sales, because they've got 2 days on right now. I'm saving my pennies for Steam later in the week. Okay, and with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.